Hey everybody, John Brinkus here for another edition of Sideporch. Today we have a very special guest who's an expert in learning and development. Ladies and gentlemen, here he is, Ivan Lee. Ivan, thank you so much for joining us.
Pleasure. Thank you for having me, John.
All right, now what I want to know is, tell me about your path to your current role.
Yeah, so there has been two things that I've been doing very well for organizations. One is creating environments of learning, and the second is leveling up organizational capacity through building new infrastructure. So creating new departments that are focused on new initiatives. So for example, I've worked at organizations like Apple and City AmeriCorps, and now, right now, I'm currently at T-Mobile, addressing the very exciting challenge of scaling ethical decision-making by reimagining ethics and compliance training. And by the way, I know we're going to be talking a lot about the positions of various organizations, but the opinions expressed today are solely of my own and do not express the views or opinions of my employer.
So Ivan, this has been a really difficult time in this nation's history. Is there anything that you can tell us from your perspective that you've seen that inspires hope in the way forward?
Yeah, John, I think both the COVID circumstance as well as the recent occurrences of racial injustice have spurred some significant action from many organizations. And what I perceive to be different now is that the conversations are prompting more infrastructural and organizational development changes within big companies and also other organizations too. I think topics are being added as reoccurring conversations in standing meetings rather than being just a one-off, oh, this is what happened, this week in history. And I think that expectations are being created that a response is a permanent commitment rather than just a response to appease the latest squeaky wheel. And so seeing that leaders across companies are reinforcing these expectations and these structural changes, basically there are behavioral changes in the meeting room, seeing this happen, it gives me great hope that more organizations are learning to be proactive in these matters. So I think that's the hope that I have.
Tell me about your current role at T-Mobile. How are you approaching your back to work policies at your own firm?
Yeah, so I work on ethics and compliance, learning and development. And there are, while I'm focused on that, I also have partnerships with many departments within T-Mobile that are working on these back to work policies. So what I've learned is that we're creating a really wonderful response and plan for our customers and as well as for our employees. And so my partners, for example, in employment law and environment, health and safety and HR, they have been working very diligently on these matters. I think the most inspiring thing is that you can really tell that they're focused on the humanity of it all. They're focused on people's health, people's lives. They're really making significant accommodations to make sure that people feel not only are safe, but also feel safe. So for example, in the retail environment, there has been a voluntary ask for those who want to return to a retail store that they can do so. They're not being forced to do so, and many people have taken the offer. In the call center environment, we've shifted, great props to our call center leadership and Callie's team. We've shifted more than 12,000 employees to fully serving our customers from home. So I think we're not just looking at a go forward plan of returning to the office, but perhaps there are newer ways to serve our customers.
So how does this focus on diversity and inclusion influence policies and practices that are being developed for a return to the workplace?
Having a strong understanding of D&I is key to developing a successful return to the workplace for all employees. Historically, pandemics and other public emergencies disproportionately impact communities of color. So making sure that policies bear in mind those difficulties helps the company to not exacerbate the experience of diverse employees. T-Mobile has a program, for example, that supports childcare costs. Many children are not returning to school. And our employee assistance program is also supporting many employees through financial counseling. And one more thing, face mask usage has been a social norm in many Asian countries. And I think that the normalization of their use in the Western workplace actually strengthens solidarity with the Asian community. I wouldn't be surprised to see face mask usage normalized post-COVID.
Now, if it's not normalized, it's certainly going to become more than likely common, right?
Oh, absolutely. I think in Asia, for example, you see people who are cooks wearing that in the kitchen and prevent smoke and things like that getting up their nose. And you see people wearing it out when they're riding a bike. It's just part of daily life.
How are you and T-Mobile thinking about the various communities around the country where your employees live and work, and how does that play into the role of developing a better workplace?
We are reimagining the workplace. As I shared earlier, in a matter of months, we enabled 12,000 call center employees to support customers from home. And examples like curbside and mobile service is going to reach more customers, and especially those who have disabilities, for example. So I'm just thinking about this, the implications for the broader industry. And many employees will choose to stay in their current workplace, which is their home. Some of my colleagues, they live in a multi-generational household that not only makes working from home feasible, but they also benefit from the engagement with their new office mates. And by the way, a lot of the new office mates, the people that they work next to at home, they may be more diverse than their workplace used to be. So I imagine that for many companies, this is a great opportunity to consider the things that don't just make good business sense, but they also support a diverse workforce and customer base.
Tell me one thing that surprises you today.
I think we're entering a new era of resilience and of proactive response. Thinking about things before they happen, developing plans, putting in place solutions that benefit not just particular people, but is considering more customers and more employees. I think that's what's surprising me about what's happening today than in prior disaster or emergency responses in the past.
Awesome. Well, listen, I can't thank you enough for joining us, Ivan. You're doing incredible work. And you're incredibly positive and optimistic, which is what we really need in this world right now. So thank you for really being a leader in helping us chart a course forward in truly an unprecedented time.
My pleasure. Thank you.